if you were to talk to someone who was either trying to discover themselves, maybe they're in high school and they're trying to figure out what steps they want to do, but especially even people who have been affected by this pandemic, like, and they're thinking about that change, that career change, like what would you advise them?
It's very easy for me to provide advice based on my own experiences, but my own experiences I've been very fortunate enough to have had. So I don't want it to seem, I don't want to be tone deaf, because not everybody has the opportunities that I've had. And I think that, you know, at the beginning of lockdown, you had all these celebrities that sang Imagine by John Lennon on their private yachts and their houses in Barbados and their private jets. And it's just so tone deaf. And I think the idea that people wanted to provide hope and inspiration was great, and it was valid, but the spokespeople for that weren't necessarily, you know, so I think that would be too much of a responsibility, because there are too many factors. But, you know, there's a lot of scientists at the moment that are struggling to find positions and degrees and funding and postdocs. And, you know, I think I could only say that if it was something like that, based on my own experiences, perseverance and a belief in yourself, that you can actually achieve anything. And my background, when I was a teenager, I would never have believed that I would be a scientist by the time I was 41. Well, I was a scientist, you know, earlier than that, but where I am today. And I think having self-belief and just a sheer drive to follow through with what it is you believe in. And it's all about working hard. But, you know, if we'd had this conversation last year, Dom, my answer would have been different. I think that we are in these unprecedented global times of struggle. There isn't a quick fix solution. And like I said, all these tone deaf celebrities imploring people to not lose hope as they sit in their $5 million mansion on the beach in Barbados. It's
out of touch. Yeah,
something that it is completely out of touch, you know,
with such a diverse you know, array of projects and knowledge of what's going on in the study of marine ecosystems and the protection of marine ecosystems. I mean, what do you see as sort of future, I guess, to go back to where we started, like gateways for people to get involved? Like, I remember we were talking a little bit, I messaged you about your thoughts on, say, something like eDNA and you know, novel technologies. And I remember you telling me that you thought the application of eDNA, for example, is a really great thing for ecology. And to me, then in that way, it kind of provides that stepping stone for someone to get involved. Well, maybe I can follow a path into genetics, and that's my journey.
What I tell all my students, whether they're high school students, primary school students, or graduate students, is you know, you've just got to find something that you're interested in and work out what needs to be done. But it's also, you know, all my experience came from volunteering, and there were many years I spending hundreds of hours working for people for no money to gain the experience. And I think that volunteering for local conservation groups and community groups, it might be something as simple as planting trees or you know, helping out with a snorkel project at a local school or something like that in the Keys or somewhere like here. So I think being involved at any level, whether you're a graduate scientist or whether you're a school student, a high school student, it's about being involved, and it's about immersing yourself in the environment. And through those processes, you'll get to meet folks that are working in those areas and get to identify what areas need attention. So it's just all about getting experience and working hard. And I'm speaking more to my students rather than career scientists that might find themselves without work at the moment. But you know, that's all to do with funding, I guess. But yeah, as a young person, I would suggest just involve yourself in the environment. Go and plant some trees or do a beach cleanup. You know, we do beach cleanups here, and it's a great way of getting out into the environment. You might see a cool creature. You know, you might find something cool on the beach. It's just all about getting involved and being part of a community, being part of a collective that is trying to better the world in which we live, which is largely degraded by our own actions anyway. So it's giving something back and trying to undo or mitigate the past mistakes of our species.
Keeping an open mind and a willingness to learn as well is something I think I took out of what your experience. You are open and minded enough to go travel and take part, do that dive, and then that's where the curiosity and knowledge and desire came from, and then your willingness to learn. I think you even said it. I mean, that it drives you even to this day when you're talking about algae, and not knowing something is not a bad thing. It's a good thing because you then get to learn. And I think that's a good philosophy, and it's hard to learn new things. Like you said at the beginning of your career, it was a massive challenge, but it getting through it was probably one of the main things to get you to where you are today. I would imagine.
When I'm teaching, if I have a group of 12-year-olds and there's me, it's not like I'm the teacher and they're the students. We're all students, and we always say at the end of the class, tell me something that you learned today that you didn't know when you woke up this morning. And as the class goes through, it's really interesting to hear how people have perceived that educational experience with me. But I always have a go as well, because I always learn something. And I think there shouldn't be a dichotomy. There shouldn't be me as the teacher and them as the students. It's merely a level playing field. It's a collective of like-minded people that are trying to strive to better our understanding of something. So let's all be students. I consider myself a student, and as corny and as cheesy as that sounds, a student of the earth. We all are. That's what we're doing. The paper that we're about to publish tomorrow, I didn't know what the results were going to be. So I've learned about the results of how these two stingrays can share diet without excluding one another competitively. So I've been a student of that process. And I think that one of the big drivers of success with this organization is that people don't perceive me as, the head of the organization and I'm the boss and I'm in charge. We're all equal. We're all in it together. And all of a sudden, the walls of the classroom that disappear, and we're all in the field. We're all collecting trash, and I try and lead by example, and I get down and get dirty on my hands and knees, and it's all about leading by example and being part of a universal collective of like-minded individuals, and particularly the younger students. I think they appreciate it because traditionally here it's a teacher classroom learning model, whereas when you come to my facility, it's not. We're all doing the same thing, and I'll answer the same questions that they answer as well. So it's all about continuing everyone's education.
I remember tutoring undergraduate courses, and I remember students coming up to me and saying, they appreciated the way I approached the questions, but what maybe they didn't realize is because I actually was fairly new to what they were studying. I mean, I was a tutor, but I didn't really know 100% about the unit that they were learning about. So we were in it together.